Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another build video here in ARK Survival Ascended. Today I'm building my ultimate bunker in a cave on Ragnarok, close to the green orb in that beautiful valley hidden behind a waterfall. Now I did this all live on stream, so technically you can already watch it back, but I figured it would be nice to have it cut down a little bit more, cut out all the unnecessary parts. It's still going to be a pretty long build, but at least it's a little bit easier if you want to follow it, whether that is because you're trying to do something very similar in the same location, or you just want to see the thought process and the design language used in this bunker so that you can maybe build your bunker somewhere else. I'm of course using mostly the Bunker Structures custom cosmetic, which is an absolute great one to use. I really love it. And in today's video, it will be the first part of the bunker. There's actually still a second part, but the video is already quite long and I didn't want to make it too long. So in this video, we'll be working on the main entrance of the bunker, as well as some dino parking spots and some flyer parking spots, and including the main crafting and storage hall with the way to get up there, which is one side, like one half of this whole bunker cave. Now, if you want to see a more detailed tour of this entire base before you watch this build, you can check out the full tour video already on my channel. I will link it here as well. And then now it's time to get started with the build. But anyway, let's get this started. So, just to show you what I've done, basically all I've done is place down this foundation on this height here. And that allowed me to do, like, at half height, snap another foundation to it. So if you don't understand what I've done, basically what I've done is place down the first foundation where I wanted it, and then half a foundation down, snap the other foundation to it. That will make sense in a little bit. That's what I've done here, and then I've basically lined that entire thing up, just continuing. So we have 4 in the middle, and then 1 here and 1 there, and then we have another gap of 4, and then after that we can have another thing here, another gap of 4, and basically another gap of 4. So we have 4 of these gaps of 4 with each a foundation in between those, lengthwise. That's the length of what I've got going on here. And then for the entrance, we could have the entrance right there. I think that's what we kind of had on the event. I'm actually going to bring it slightly outward, as you can see. Basically what we've done is, or what I've done is, instead of going from this corner, we're going in by 1. And then we'll have some triangles coming out. And we want this to be counting only these sides. So now we have 5. We want to have 9 in total, I'm pretty sure. 9. So that's about 9. And then, well, this can go back into the landscape again. I don't think we'll be able to place anything like that. Let's see, is that actually what we want? Is that actually lined up? I think so. We should be able to bring this across and it should line up, I guess. That's the easier test. So yeah, actually we don't want this one here anymore. We want it from that one. That should be... That's far enough. So that's about how far we're gonna bring it outward. We can actually make this too wide, I think. And that's what we're gonna have as like kind of supports coming out. And then we'll have the same thing over here as well. Again, most of this, of course, is going into the rocks, which is totally fine. Then we probably will have another 2, and then we could potentially have the floor here. Like, potentially this could then be right over there. And then maybe we could even round it up like this if we really wanted to give it a little bit more of a curvy feel. I guess we could go for something like this. That should in theory work. Without it being too crazy. And then of course these ones as well. We're just kind of designing what the entrance will look and feel like. So we can have some large walls there. And there we go. We can have those in there. I think that's pretty much shape-wise the entrance. And then of course, once we change the look of these, it's gonna look quite different. I think it's gonna look quite nice, to be honest. Kind of think that we might have to switch those around. So the one block, the one wall at the bottom, and then the other one at the above that. I think that will make for a nice transition there. There we go. So yeah, that would be kind of the entrance shape to the hallway that we'll have. I think that could be quite nice. And then obviously there's a choice that needs to be made here, whether this is going to be a layer that we want to have part of the bunker on, or do I want to make still a little bit of a double layer there. That all remains to be seen. Yeah, bunker is definitely one of my favorites too. It's really, really nice. I think we're going to raise this up by 1 on both sides. I think that would be quite nice. So yeah, we're gonna try and kind of making this go inward a little bit, bunker-wise. But because it's on an angle, we also need to build that on an angle, which I think will be fine. Maybe 3 is good enough. Let's see how that would look over here. There we go. Yeah, I think I quite like that, like as a shape, because it kind of brings it in to that landscape. Feels like some supports holding back the bunker. I like skinning it like halfway through so that we can really clearly see what it will feel like. Yeah, because we can't do it at a less steep angle, because obviously we don't have triangle ramps yet. Please, ARK, give me that for my birthday. Or a little bit later. I'll accept that too. There we go. Something like that would then be the side of it, of course. That is quite nice, I think. We'll do something similar on this side then as well. Trying to fill in those sides. Gonna have to work a little bit with the landscape, of course, like how far do we go? I think that's about how far we can go, which is fine. Why is there a glitchy wall there? Oh, there's 2 walls in 1 wall. That's special. So we'll build this up too. There we go. And that's a full wall. Yeah, so that's already kind of shaping the whole entrance towards the actual hallway. Now, I'm not sure if we want to have any additional details along this hallway, or we're just gonna kind of keep it going as is. Like, we could just have that be a thing. There we go. A little bit of rock coming through, but I think that's fine. I mean, I think that's already starting to look like a nice entrance. I'm not going to use a gate in here. Of course, you could probably add a gate if you wanted to. I'm going to keep it open. I'm probably going to have some turrets eventually to keep it safe. But in general, the cave is pretty safe, and especially once we've built. But there shouldn't be anything spawning inside of the cave. Of course, this is ARK, and we all know that just because it shouldn't happen doesn't mean it won't ever happen. But yeah, it should technically be safe. There we go. We'll add these in here too. Yeah, so again, it's kind of just the supports leading to the entrance. I kind of think we might add something in front of here, but it kind of also depends on what we're gonna do with the actual entrance. So for now, let's work on finishing these two lines leading into the whole build, and we'll take it from there. Bring this line across, too wide. Not everything, of course, will be able to be placed because there's a mountainside in a way, which is totally fine. There we go. So in general, that would be the entrance. We're probably, even though this side not gonna really be visible for most or anyone, but we definitely should fill it in because we'll know that there is a gap here otherwise. There we go. I think that's all fitting within. Wait, why can't I? Oh, I was going to say, why can't I place that? But I can. Oh, well, these walls are... Oh, why did I place the big walls there? That's pretty stupid. Wait, did I do all of these walls? Oh, I placed this instead of slope walls. Oh yeah, this might be... Some of these places might not like getting a sloped wall here. Oh, we could always place like a little bit of JVH rocks there to cover up. If it's not allowing us for some reason. There we go. That already feels like a pretty cool entrance. And then, yeah, again, it's kind of going to be the question whether or not we'll have something visible above this or not. Like a window could be cool because we're probably going to have some like... I think probably the crafting will still go there. That's what we had at least on the event, but we'll see. All right, so we'll have... So this is the first wall we have. And then we want a gap of 4 before we have the next wall. There we go. And then we want to have another gap of 4 for another wall. Another gap of 4. And then another gap of 4 should run us to the end of this section. And then it's time to kind of work on some Dino docking bays here on the side. Which, yeah, I think parking docks is what I wrote down. So, yeah, we'll have some of these supports. And these supports are going to be quite iconic for this hallway, I think. As in, they're going to be the main form of kind of structure that gives the shape and character to this whole place. And there we go. Okay, we'll fill in all these walls first. So these are all the parts that slightly stick out above the walkway, of course. And of course we have the landscape at the back here, which I think we're going to embrace. So we're going to just build as far back into this as we can. And then just kind of figure it out from there. So this in total is 5 high. So I think what we'll do is for each of these, we'll have these kind of like divider walls. And then above that, we'll have like large walls. Okay, we can get rid of the sign. We can place down foundations as far as they go. And then we can bring back these walls as far as they will let me. There we go. And this already should give us a pretty decent amount of like parking spots for dinos, which was really useful on the event when we lived here with quite a few people. But even with, if it's just me here, it's gonna be kind of nice being able to have some dinos parked or displayed here. And who knows, maybe I'll be kind and let my tribe members move in. There we go. We're getting somewhere, so we definitely want to have this divider wall here as well. Which kind of means that this needs to have one more segment before it is finally far enough back to this wall. Okay, so now the big question is, of course, because we'll have the floor just like that. The big question is, are we going to have the stairs stick out like this? Or should we integrate them into the docks? Probably. We had them sticking out before, but I kind of think that if we have them integrated, it could be quite nice. Although, then again, as you can see, that doesn't quite work in the way we would think it is, because you only really see half of the stair anyway. So this is kind of overlapping. So if you, I mean, I'm not sure if you could build this in official settings. You might be able to, but then you probably have to use the quarter stairs or a ramp instead. So yeah, that's kind of going to be like the floor. I think we'll still go for this, but then we'll have something going on around here. Like we'll make some nice entrances, I think. Like something going on in front of these. Just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then here, of course, it does stick out of the landscape a little bit more, but it shouldn't really matter too much because these foundations, of course, are going to stay the same height. So the floor is pretty much going to stay the same height because there's only a small part where the rocks really poke through. Oh, that's funny. Will it not let me place down the foundation now that this is here? I guess I didn't really have foundations here either. Now I can place that. Can I still place the stairs? I can. So I guess I need to place the foundations first and then the stairs. Because otherwise we're going to have some gaps here, which is going to look awkward. So we definitely want to fill those in. There we go. But yeah, this is hopefully going to be a really cool base. I've been really wanting to build this for quite a while. And we're finally getting this started. Now, I don't really know how far we'll be able to get today. We'll try to get pretty far. But again, it's a pretty big cave. And even though we did build here once, it's not going to be the exact same base. So it's still going to take us some time to figure things out. But yeah, I think this as a hallway already looks quite nice to me. Starting to get the vibes that we want. All right, so basically, I guess I could do a full wall. If, again, unofficial, you probably need to have quarter walls here, but saving on some structures this way. Just using this, I guess. There we do need some quarter walls to fill in those sides. And we kind of can have just some little bit of these. I think we made planters out of those in the survival base. Could even have artifacts on there, possibly. Something like that. There's a few things you could do there. Like probably we'd want to have a little bit of a beam going around it, and then some half beams going around the sides again. just to kind of fortify those all the way along. There we go. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have some grass on the top of that. Do I want these stairs on here? Maybe I'll use the other stairs, but for now I guess we can change the looks. We do want to have the bunker, because the middle floor, like this pathway, is not going to be the same kind of concrete bunker skin, because we do want to change it up a little bit. And I think these are going to be the cozy cabins grass to bring in that little bit of greenery, because I do want this to be a very nice place, even though we're using this very industrial bunker looking skin. I still want it to look like a nice place as well. So we're going to try and make a really cool bunker, but we're also going to try and bring the coziness in. So yeah, that's starting to look quite nice. So I think then the next step is obviously just to fill in foundations for each of these docking bays, these parking docks. I can't get a foundation there. Can I still get like a... Nope. Cannot do it, which is fine. Obviously, we're going to change the variance on these. And some of these, again, will have a little bit more of these rocks in there. I think on the event, we had a back wall to them. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to embrace the cave in here. So I'm going to have the back just be open, because I kind of like seeing the cave every now and then. And it will save me some structures, which is always nice. There we go. So I think once we start filling in these walls, we'll actually be quite decently along with these docking bays, to be honest. And especially if we're, of course, going to have something above this, which most likely we will. So yeah, maybe let's work on this first one here. There we go. Let's just fill in this wall all the way into the cave wall. There we go. Come on. Give me the right snaps. There we go. We do have some more space over here because I didn't fill in the first part here yet. But now if we change all of those skins, and we can actually fill in the back of those as well, we should be getting a little bit further along with this first bay. And then potentially, of course, there might be a roof above this because there might be another layer here. But that's kind of the similar docking bay that we had on the event. Something like this, at least. I think we'd want to have a bit of support inside too. I don't know if this is the right place for that. Because we kind of want to make these less blocky, basically. And perhaps this is the way. Maybe just like this. Yeah, that could be quite nice. That could work. Just to give a little bit more shape to this entire room. After how many of these would we want another one? Like maybe after 2 or after 3? Maybe after 3, because then probably not in every one of these we'll get another one. But in a few, we could have if that just that extra little bit of detail. And even in this one, we kind of only need to make the one side because, yeah, there's no way to see the back of these. There we go. Yeah, that gives a little bit more shape to this entire room, I think. And then, yeah, we'll have that for all of these. These parking bays are going to be all like that. And then potentially we could even have like the vents in here. Kind of like that. Maybe. You know, for the airflow in here. The airflow for my dinosaurs needs to be good. And all right, let's start with filling in these walls for these dividers. I guess I can just kind of do that for all of these at the same time. Probably gonna be faster that way. And yeah, with the bunker skin is actually the first time that I've been building more with these large walls. And that's mostly down to the fact that they actually have some amazing cool textures for the large walls in the bunker cosmetics, which are very different than normal walls. So yeah, it just makes it a lot nicer to play around with. I'm not sure if that's placed the same way, but you know, we'll see. You can't really tell anyway. There we go. Yeah, so for a lot of this already, it feels like it's gonna be quite tricky to say if there's gonna be enough space above for actual living quarters, but we'll find that out. We'll find it out. All right, so we're getting somewhere. We're getting these dino parking bays in shape, which already helps dedicate or dictate quite a lot for this first hallway of the bunker. But as you can see, it also already kind of gives a really nice bunker vibe to this hallway, which is exactly what we're looking for. There we go. And then we'll just go around skinning these walls. Get all of them looking nice. There we go. Quite nice. All right, so now we probably want to also add in these, right? That's where I placed them. I think that's exactly where I did. Yeah. So, and then we have 3 before the next one. So there's just barely one more in there. And then I guess we might as well keep doing that for all of these. So the 3 before we add one more. There we go. So we will have all of them in here. I don't think you can see the back for those, so we don't need the slope walls there. For these ones, we most certainly will want both of the slope walls. For this one, I probably will do both sides, because you could technically, yeah, you could kind of get there if you really wanted to. So we're not leaving those gaps in that case. But for the rest of these, they're all kind of back into the cave walls, which is totally fine. Makes it a little bit easier for us. There we go. Yeah, getting those shapes in gives a little bit more shapes to these the docking base compared to what we originally had on the event. Again, this would have been way more annoying also to set up in survival early on, but I think it will add just a little extra shape to all these different dino docks that we'll make. There we go. It gives it a little bit of a nicer feel. And then we'll change all these, of course, to the bunker skins. There we go. And we'll definitely be adding the vents, because I kind of like that idea that we have those vents running through from one to the other. No, don't forget those sides. Don't forget to skin them. There we go. Look like in the end, so we're going to use this one. So that's also from the bunker structure cosmetic, but it's this one that will make it look slightly different, and it will retain a lot of the cave feeling, which I quite like about this. So we'll just add that for this entire, like, basically the street going into my bunker. And the reason we do have the actual foundations there in the middle is so that we still have support above it, so that if we do build some kind of rooms or bunker structure above this, we will be able to actually span across the entire width of the cave. There we go. Oh yeah, this feels familiar. This does feel familiar. Okay, so realistically, I think what I want to do is kind of mirror at least the support beams that we have going on, because I think that would be quite nice. We kind of had that on the event, but not completely. Is this gonna demolish? Yeah, okay, I guess there's not actually a foundation down there, which I guess we can solve that by doing this, because to do the flyer parking, because we didn't have that on the event. On the event, we had the staircase up to the storage and crafting on the other side. There we go. Yeah, so we'll have these in. Like, look at that shape already. The whole hallway kind of forms to this shape, which is quite cool. Which probably means that right about now is when we want to start placing down these skins again. Yeah, we need that done. We need that done today. I need that very badly in my life. Oh yeah, so that we should all be able to line up and should be able to get skinned as well. There we go. The same dirty skin all the way through, which means we can also do it here along the inside, and that means we have that first kind of wall completed, at least, well, at the front. There we go. And move this layer inward by a little bit. Oh no. Oh, I deleted that first one. That was all connected to that. Well, I promise I had a great idea here, which we will now reconstruct. So we'll have these. We'll have a layer of this, which will then also work into that pillar we'll have there. Where we can build this up again and bring that back up, and then we can repair the damages I've caused myself. Bring this dividing wall back in. There we go. And then on top of this is where we'll have the ramps coming into the flyer dock, basically. And if you're wondering how am I going to get in and out, well, by flying, obviously, or my Cosmo, or my jetpack, or tech suit, you know, stuff like that. This is an endgame base, so I feel like we can do things like that. So yeah, that would just be the normal foundations. Then we would kind of have that look, and then up here, this is where your flyer would be parked. I think that could be really cool. Obviously, it gives a little bit of a different aesthetic to both sides, but so maybe instead of that thing be connected like that, what we could do is bring this back in first, and then have the wall there, so that it's not really connected to those pillars, which I feel like is what we need. We need them to be quite separate still. Okay, there we go. So that would be all filled in, and this would just be more normal supports. Yeah, I think I like that. Would I think I might want to have these the other way around, because I think I want to see those extra like steel supports here. Yeah, I think that's what we need. A little bit of that steel coming through here. And then if we have the next divider here, it should all start to work out nicely for us. I guess we don't have full foundation all the way to the back there. Which we'll figure out. Guess that's because the landscape here is a little bit uneven into the walls of the cave. But yeah, I feel like that's a pretty nice spot. It's higher up, of course. But again, this is going to be a late game base, so I don't mind having to jump up a little bit. Well, I couldn't fly on my ice wyvern. Can I fly on this guy? No. I could fly on this guy. There we go. This is a Ryan Natha with the cosmetic, by the way. I guess the only downside about raising it up like this, it's only like 2.5 high now. Which should still be big enough for most creatures, but it might be a little bit claustrophobic at some times. We could test that actually. Let's see what it feels like if we have some ceilings over this. Hold up. Oh, this wall is just not right. Oh, there we go. Well, then it's going to be better than this is right now, because that's too low, apparently. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll bring this across. I guess we won't do all the things just yet. There we go. I must have messed something up along the way. Probably when we move those foundations back. But yeah, then this should clear it up and should give us, yeah, still 3 walls high. That should be plenty of space. Okay. There we go. So this is all pretty much filled in. There we go. Yeah, let's have a roof over this just to kind of see how much space we do have on the inside. Yeah, certain points here won't have full foundation support. We'll figure something out for that. It's not going to be too difficult. Probably we can just kind of add a pillar in there. And it might already give us the foundation support back. There we go. I think we filled in everything we needed here. King build. There we go. So we still have a decent amount of space here. Now, here on the other side, of course, we have... well, not even there, do we? We have them here. No, a little bit further back even. We have some supports around there. Which we could do. Does get a little bit more crowded in there then. But I guess it kind of depends on what flyer you're using. Let's see. Can we... Surely we can move the quets, yeah. Everyone vote quets in the TLC vote. I'd love to see a cooler quets. Alright, we'll park this here for now. Let's see. Let's try parking that in, just to see how much space there's left. We'll park this back here again. It's going to be quite annoying parking this in there, though. Since they don't really walk backwards, do they? Oh, that's going to be very annoying. Yeah, Quatzes might not be suited for this, so I need to kind of do... Yeah, but now... Nope. Well, the Quetz fits inside. It's just turning them around is going to be the real nightmare. It's going to be the real nightmare. But they do fit inside, technically. Quetzes are just a bit weird. Like, why can't I just kind of scoot backwards when I'm walking? That would really help. Valerian Rains? I don't think I've got a rain here. But yeah, I might have to try that. See if that works. So I'm not sure if I do need these supports. I feel like that might make these rooms a little bit too crowded if I do add those in. Maybe we will just have them like way at the back. So we have like 1, 2, 3, and then we have them here. I feel like that might be better off for these. So kind of just all the way at the back of these builds. Well, there is no wall there, but you can also not get there. Yeah, I kind of do hope that the Quetz gets a TLC. I'd really love to see that. Okay, so we're gonna move some of these foundations back. We're gonna try to add the lower foundations in wherever we can. And then we can work on the rest of these. I guess at the front there's no need to do that because there's a rock there anyway. There we go. So yeah, we want to have full walls going across here. There we go. Then we want to have the roofs coming up. And well, for this one it's going to be slightly different, isn't it? Because there's the rocks in the way, but we're going to try and still get a similar effect. So we'll have the ramps going across. We'll do that for these as well. There we go. And we'll have... Oh no, we didn't want to flip these roofs. We just want to have them normal like that. All the way across from one side to the other. Starting to look quite nice, I think. So let's add in the floors for all these flyer parking bays. Yeah, so in some spaces these are not going to have foundation support. But again, quite easy to fix because we can't really see what's going on underneath anyway. So we can add in the ceilings wherever we need them. And then we can just kind of make a few of these parking docks so that we can also have 4 flyer spaces. I think I'm going to make a separate Ryanetha wall because Rhinos you really just want to park ledge to a wall. Because then they don't start flying on restarts. So I think that's what we'll have to... We have to build that in somewhere. So that, yeah, we can have a dedicated Rhino parking spot. Okay, well, this is interesting for sure. So I guess we need a little bit of foundation support somewhere here, but maybe if I do that... This will already be possible again. There we go. We'll do... Oops. We'll do the supporting walls first. Creating all these dividers between the different flyer parking spots. There we go. Okay, we have this one already. And we have the one at the start. Then I guess it's time to bring out the variant tool and kind of start skinning up a lot of this. Then we have the support. So 1, 2, 3. Then we have the supports over here. So we'll do the same thing. Okay. So this is the only one where they're not all the way at the back. I suppose that there's a little bit more room in the cave the further we go in, which I guess makes sense. But we'll add them everywhere no matter what. Could you get behind here? You probably can. Around as a shark for so long, I feel like I need a shark avatar as well. The shark has become me, so kind of feel like I should take care of that first before I get it permanently changed. And this is more the logo of my community server, that one. Well, technically it was the logo for the Jurassic Park event we did, but now it's also kind of just a logo for the cluster in general. Yeah, it needs the shark in there, so either I need to be more like a shark, or yeah, it's just a shark needs to be involved. I'll have to brainstorm and get that made at some point, I suppose. There we go. We have quite a lot of room already if we build all of this into a base. This is exactly what I mean, like, it will give us a decent amount of space, as you can see, but a lot of this is also, of course, shaped to the cave. And that will influence how much space we'll have left, of course. So we'll just kind of continue filling in the last bits of ceilings. Because then we can also check underneath if we kind of like the shaping that we've done. I think we will, but you never know until you see it. Did I add a ceiling somewhere now? I feel like I did, but I can't really find it. Uh-oh. Did I get myself stuck in here? How did I fit in, but I can't get out? Oh, now I can. Felt like I placed an accidental ceiling, but I don't see any. Maybe not. Maybe not. All right, let's fill in these last layers of ceilings, and then we can kind of take a look. But that definitely takes care of the first part of the base, which is exciting. And it's definitely looking like intended. It's kind of enough similarities with the bunker we had before, but it is changed enough as well into a fresh design. Yeah, this hallway, this feels like a proper bunker to me in a cave. Slightly more curved, because we could still add like these in, which might be nice ways to, well, yeah, make it all even more connected, I suppose. There we go. Fill in those sides. Oh. Oh no. Let me fix this first, because apparently I can't talk and not misclick. Keep that part of the symmetry alive. Right. I feel like that's the least we can do. Kind of keep that going. Although, to be fair, I might actually just add a little garden there anyway. I'm not sure. We'll see. Because it could definitely be nice adding in some greenery to fill in some of the gaps. Can't fill in that gap, apparently. Fill it in there. Yeah, so basically these will be some planters where we can have a little bit of grass, probably like a little plant. We'll have some cool signs, part of the bunker skins on the walls. And that's how we're gonna bring the whole place to life. Because again, it's gonna be a bunker, but I do also kind of want to give it as much of the cozy vibes as we can possibly get away with, which is probably gonna be a little bit of a challenge, let's be honest. Because there's a lot of concrete in here. But I do really feel like we can still make an effort of trying to make it feel cozy. Alright, so let's change the right skins to the bunker ones. There we go. The next layer, I do think that if we're gonna build the next layer here, we do want to make sure that we add a little bit of depth to the whole situation. And the first step, I think, is to do something like this to kind of just break up that front wall here. And I think, oh, that's too far. I think that means we also want to have the beam going across the front here. Oh, and actually we want to break these up then. Do I kind of start something over here? Which does mean we're starting it on an angle, but that's totally fine. We can work with that. Just kind of... There we go. That's the pieces we need. And then we should be able to bring that up. So now we're kind of working on the rest of the wall basically here, which is going to be the wall for our main storage system. Which I suppose is going to continue here. And I guess we'll continue that just like that. So yeah, basically we start on an angle, but we end straight into the building. We'll have normal walls there. I guess we can just kind of have normal walls around that entire part. Technically, there is still room for something here. It's kind of weird that we can't fill in that gap. That's too bad. But yeah, we do have some kind of room for a window or something up there. So yeah, we probably go for another layer wall here, and then we probably want some kind of window in the middle, right? Because any amount of light that we can get in there is probably going to be welcomed. Look out of the window anyway. Unless I change the height of it. Maybe I do this. There we go. Have windows, right? Okay, so we could have some windows there. And then I feel like, oh no, why are things breaking? So yeah, I feel like what we'll do is we'll have that in the middle. So we'll have two windows basically. Just to shape it up a bit more. I think that's going to look quite nice. And then, I mean, we're gonna still fill in these walls just with normal walls, but those will turn into windows when we start skinning it. And I think that's kind of what we want to go for. So all of these pillars and beams will change into these, kind of to create a little bit more contrast with the rest of the structure, because we got a lot of the concrete going on, of course. And we kind of want to break that up a little bit. Yes, let's in a little bit of light through those windows. So then when we would be up here, it's not much, but at least a little glimpse of the light can make its way on the inside. And right from the corner where we left off is basically where we want to go ahead and get a load of these triangles going. Now, I haven't really counted this out, but it should at least line up. Some of these foundations might not let me place them, which is, in my case, why I will use ASR. On vanilla, you could just, or like official, you could just, of course, use ceilings and pillars and walls and stuff. But just to save us some time, kind of want to keep this all going. Some of these should then be... Yeah, it's really weird. The snap points of normal foundations just... Sometimes you feel like they should still work, but they don't. There we go. We'll have to count if this is actually going to like line up with a nicely dividable amount of space. So yeah, we could of course go for the same kind of feeling still. So like we would have 4, and then we could have the wall. We could keep that feeling going, and then this would be kind of extra, I suppose. But over here, I think we'll probably keep these support beams going at least. Feels appropriate to, well, keep that kind of vibe alive. And then we'll see if we'll actually build the other side, because the other side is mostly the cave again. But I feel like it could be beneficial to at least have these different sections. Just like that. So yeah, the path would continue like this. So maybe we don't go all the way out here, but instead we can keep it a little bit further back. So I guess we can hopefully delete a bunch of these foundations. Maybe some of them are gonna be a little bit tricky, but we could maybe pick them up with the gun. So if we take this line away, because this was kind of just to see how far we could go before we started, but this line is calculated with the design we could do. There we go. So for some reason we have that one. There we go. We can pick it up and fix it all. So yeah, here we would kind of want to go twice the height. I guess we're going to need these ones for that again. There we go. So yeah, if we keep the same kind of walkway, that would be the other wall. But seeing that there's this cave here, I might not even bother building that, and I might embrace the cave on the other side. I think that's what we'll probably end up doing. So we'll just have the walkway going into the cave landscape. I think that makes more sense. And then we'll have those 4 sections over here on this side to utilize as some like internal gardens, I think. Which I guess means we can start building up these divider walls. Again, I don't really think we'll have a roof above it. I think we're just building these walls into the cave as kind of like supports. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So in total, this would be 5 high, but it's kind of different because we don't necessarily need it to be a certain height, so we can just kind of model it after this. Do I want that, or do I want this instead? This would actually make it properly the right length, so it probably is going to be like that, which means this is going to get 1 layer above it. Yeah, because there's going to be some kind of corner no matter what, right? Because even if I would have chosen to go for this angle, there would still be a corner in there, but then this space would be relatively small. And I think this way, We'll keep some decently sized spaces. Let's see if we can build out the dividing kind of walls. This would be the dividing wall. Going back into that cave, or more the supporting walls in this case. And then again, each of these sections is going to be turned into some lovely gardens, which I'm quite excited about. Some like cool displays, some taxidermy and stuff like that. I think that could be really cool. Alright, so we'll bring these triangle walls all the way back in to the structure. There we go. Yeah, so basically along this side is where we would want these walls to go. And to be honest, one of these walls could quite easily be like the wall where we park our rhinos, right? Because this outside wall, for example, that would be a perfect spot for parking some rhinos at. Okay, so they don't need to be this high up here. And I guess now we just want to add in all of these wall segments again. There we go. Yeah, we can think out what kind of displays we would make, and we could display some of like our favorite creatures in dermises, create some little scenes. We've seen that in a few bases on my community, and I want to challenge myself at this base to also decorate it, not only for function, but also just for vibes and looks. Because this is going to be one of my main bases on the cluster, which means you can come and visit this, which is quite cool. We can hang out, we can have shark raves and everything. So yeah, lots of fun things, and I think some cool displays. I might theme it around maps, because that would be quite a nice way to kind of feature certain creatures. Maybe challenge myself to go and tame certain creatures in case I don't have them, or whether it's because I've never tamed them or I have forgotten to take care of the cryos and they are no longer in my possession. But yeah, that will give us a few different like garden display sections to utilize, I think. So yeah, I think this would be a nice kind of section to add these lines, because we're gonna have the things dripping down. So I feel like even if we continue these upward, we probably want to create some kind of dividing segment for them. Oh, this is not supported. The problem is that I don't really want the pillar to be too visible. Might have to do without that one for now. There we go. We'll build these all the way along. Because again, with the bunker effect, it makes more sense to have something at the end of these large walls, because that's where the effect kind of drips down from. There we go. Maybe also because of these kind of curves, maybe we can change that a little bit. Because realistically, we kind of would want to just keep going like this, right? And we could do that. Just by doing that. Does that feel more appropriate? Kind of does. And then I kind of wonder if we couldn't just maybe make it more curved back. So maybe something like that. I don't know. So we would have that line going up. Or do we have it slightly less steep? Yeah, exactly. There should be plenty of rhinos there. I think we might go for something like this. We might go for a less high wall, because this wall is kind of a bit too much. Let's see. We'll test it on this wall. See if we like this more. Yeah, I think that's going to be definitely a bit nicer than what we had. Although, we can't do this because we don't have triangle ramps in Vanilla ARK. So we're going to have to go for these ones instead. Which instantly is going to make this a bunch higher again. Oh, God. Why, ARK? Couldn't you give us triangle ramps? So, yeah, it would kind of be that steepness. Still looks better than the full wall, I think. Okay. So we'll have some of those full walls in there again. I guess maybe after 4, we can just kind of say we'll level it. So that we don't need to go that high. Wait, how did these... I guess those didn't actually line up the way I thought they were gonna line up. But I guess now we don't want them anyway. So these are gonna be just 3 high. Which should make it a little bit less of like a major thing. There we go. We can keep this up all the way. Let's give us ceilings, because we're gonna need those more now. There we go. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely gonna be much nicer. So we'll do that for all of these. So we'll do that. We'll do this. We'll do that. So yeah, we'll go for this shape instead, and then kind of follow it along with what we had. So yeah, we'll need to delete all these walls. There we go. Yeah, that doesn't matter. We don't need those there. And we can get rid of all that and then get the shapes in the right places now. Which is kind of just going to be like that. And then you can continue straight into the cave walls. So I think we'll follow that same pattern here too. There we go. And then for all of these sections, we'll just do the same thing. But yeah, I think that's going to be just slightly more interesting and nicer to look at than just giant walls going up all the way. Gives us a little bit more space on the inside, I think. There we go. Oh, this one is going to be the easiest because this kind of just goes straight into the cave wall, which is exactly kind of what I envisioned this wall would do. Just ended up being a little bit bigger than I anticipated. Oh. Come on. Why am I stuck? Oh, please. There we go. So yeah, that feels a little bit less massive walls blocking the cave and a little bit more interesting shapes going around it. Which will definitely be nicer to look at, I think. There we go. So yeah, that really blends in very nicely to the existing landscape. And we kind of just want to fill all of these different sections in. There we go. And then we just need to fill in the bits on the top if we can see the top, of course, because that's not going to be the case for all of these. Well, I guess technically we could still see the top. I want to make sure no one falls in there. And then that one we can't see. But yeah, that already feels a little bit more friendly and a lot nicer. Let's see what that looks like once we start changing all these skins into the right variants. So let's get these foundations in here. We want to fill some of these in. I think those might not all fit anymore. This And then, to be fair, probably... Wait, how are these windows looking on this side? So yeah, that's from like that straight line going up. So that's kind of what we want here as well. So these lines are the ones that will kind of stick to for our pattern. Which means that on this side from there, for now, we're going to keep this open because we need to figure out a way to get up there, which is probably going to be in this corner. But for this part, we can at least add or a little bit of detailing. There we go. So yeah, we probably just want to kind of repeat that process, because even if we're indoors here, I think we kind of just want to have those windows here as well. Internal windows. There we go. That should line up. There we go. We'll fill in any gaps there might be. And then, of course, the actual window gaps we want to also fill in. There we go. Some nice windows to look into our base, because at least then those are symmetrical, right? Those are going to be the same on both sides. For the fact that we might have some fans in certain spots. So what I'll probably do is have walls like this. And then just have normal walls. Because if we have normal walls, it's easier to add in a fan or two in certain locations. So we can just kind of make sure that for now they're all concrete. But we will probably at least have one fan there, just to make it a little bit cooler. And then this wall we'll leave open for now, because that's going to be part of wherever the entrance is going to be. I'm thinking that we might at least want to have this line as a little bit of detail. There we go. I think that would be quite nice to bring in. Break up the top of that wall, and in this case also that divider. Breaking that up a little bit. Adding a line. We definitely want to add in the signs over there, I think. At least on that one side. The other side, there's a rock, so we'll probably do something different. But yeah, I like it. I like it. We're getting definitely close again to that feeling. This hallway for sure feels quite cool. So let's see if we have foundations. We could have like 4 wide building, and then maybe have some foundation. Because I kind of, at least for this part, want to still keep up these floors. Okay, so then... that wouldn't really look nice. I was trying to see if I could maybe make a little bit of a nicer entrance here, but I don't think we can. So probably just like that. There we go. Okay, so we kind of have this slope going on, so I feel like whatever entrance we make is going to be kind of related to that shape. And maybe we'll have like a gateway here. But probably we want to have a metal gate in there, because otherwise the techie I don't think is gonna fit the vibe quite as much for this. So yeah, if we get these... There we go. Yeah, we'll definitely have to change the variance on some of these foundations, because we can see the little wooden line, which we don't want. But yeah, that's going to be a nice entrance. That's probably not... Or do I just want to do this over the entirety of the build? I might. So yeah, then this would be the spot where this wall would be, because that would be the equal distance for those, which I think would be quite nice. There we go. Again, I quite like this little side building that we're creating, which is basically just so that we can get up to the main crafting hall, which would be quite nice if I can finish at least that, because then I would have the actual way in and out of my future crafting and storage hall, which we could then start working on a little bit as well. Can figure out some kind of way to fix it, but for now, let's at least get a little bit of the shape going. How wide was that? That was a little wider, right? Okay, so the real question is... No, yeah, I do want to basically start with a layer of normal walls, because that way that will line up with this. So I think now if we do it over here, yes, and then we want to have a gap of 4 before we connect those up. Then the top layer is here. We can do it like that for now. There we go. what do I want here at the back? Probably kind of just mirror the front-ish, I think. Hello, please, ARK. Thank you. Yeah, so we'll have those going across. We can have that going all the way from one side to the other. Then I think here for the interior, we probably kind of want to go for something like this. Actually, what I really need to know, because I don't quite remember what variants... Okay, there's a no glass variant for that. That is kind of annoying, but we can probably get around that. We can probably get around that. Okay, so we'll kind of just fill all that in, I think. So here on the inside, we're going to have a little bit of a double wall. I mean, I suppose that means over there we can have the full wall again. Yeah, there we go. And that means we can do the same over there. Then we can start creating that shape. And then for these, we actually want to change up the snap points a little bit. What we want is some quarters. There we go. And then we also want to make sure that we have those walls filled in. Okay, for now, I'm just going to place those walls. Then we want to have these quarter roofs, which we should then be able to place on both sides of those walls. We actually want to make sure that these walls go up all the way. And that's how we're going to create a little bit of depth for the windows, basically. So we'll fill in all these sections with these quarter roofs. Of course, if you do have overlapping, you can probably just have a normal roof there. But this is official friendly, I suppose. Should be, right? Because they're not going through the structures. They're just squished in between it. And then now I could make this a window. So we should be able to... There we go. We also need to make sure that we will fill in this wall. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, I think that looks quite nice. I think I might want to have a pillar running down from there, which kind of means I'd want to have it there as well. Just to bring in a different line here, I think. Oh, I'm in a quets. I'm in a quets. And I'm really liking this window, even though it's an interior window, because I mean, it's just looking out into the cave. It's fine. I want to see my cave. Okay, so what I need to figure out is where this elevator is going to be. What I probably will end up doing is trying to center that out a little bit, right? That feels like it makes sense. So we'll try to kind of circle around it if it will let me. Because that's then the whole ceiling we want to get to. I guess it does get a little bit confusing. Okay, well, I'm gonna try and fix that without all this clipping. But for now, at least, these are all centered. That means that this, we want a televator. So that will be the way to go upstairs. And I think we'll probably find a nicer skin than this. But yeah, that's going to be the televator. Bringing us up to the next layer. Which also means we need to make sure that we line those two up, of course, because otherwise it won't work. So for this, we can continue this layer. Then we have, I think, another. Yeah, we have one layer, and now we should try and center out the elevator again. Because, I mean, you could use, of course, an official, you would use normal elevators or maybe staircase or teleporters or whatever. But we want to make it a little bit easier on ourselves here on the cluster, and we can have the televator. A tech elevator feels like definitely something, yeah, we need in vanilla, because elevators are really problematic, and building staircases doesn't always fit every base. So if I do that there, I should then be able to now fill in that gap. So for now, we'll switch that to that skin, but this is gonna, I'm probably gonna find a nicer skin. So now, if I crouch or jump, I can teleport through to the other layer, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's gonna be the entrance into our bunker. Which does kind of mean that we need to figure out what we're gonna do for the rest of this layer. I kind of think I might want to do another one of those windows, to be honest. Quite like the way that one looked. I think that should still be able to fit in here. There we go. We can have that as a pillar on the corner. That feels nice. And I feel like then there's probably something we'll have over here as well. But for this one, probably just filling in that entire wall. There we go. And that feels that we'll have a full wall there. It's all the walls. All the windows are also the walls. It's all just... The wall has so many variants in the bunker cosmetic that a lot of it is hidden in there. Alright, so I guess it's not going to be quite as big of a window as this one. But I still think it's going to look quite nice. Oh god. Yeah, because we need the quarter pieces here for the different snap points. Oh, what did I do? Oh no, I did do it right. Yeah, then we just want to fill that wall in again. Then we want to make sure that we have that wall here. There we go. Oh. Won't let me place those pieces. That's fine. We can work with that. And then we just need these ones for another window. I guess I kind of still need some walls there because we kind of see a little bit of an edge there. Did it get foggy in there, or is that just if I go too high in the cave it gets more foggy? I mean, yeah, we desperately need power in here so I can have some lights. There we go. We can have a nice little window up there. That feels quite good. I probably would add a pillar there. Oh god. Why does that... Oh, I hate when that happens. Really, really hate. And the entire pillar comes down because you remove something. Okay. Could we have a potential entrance for flies if we want to fly in and out of our storage? Not sure how practical it would be, but maybe we can at least provide the option for us to do it. There we go. So that would be this wide. That's way too big. I mean, that kind of works. I guess it's a little smaller than the hole size I expected. And there's actually... It's going a little bit into the cave. But, you know... It does give us an option to fly in and out if we wanted to. Which could be quite nice. And then I guess we just fill up those remaining pieces. Actually, I might want to fill this in with normal walls as well, because again, that might mean a vent. Okay, let's fix these pillars again. There we go, very nice. We can change those. There we go. Yeah, so we do have the option now to fly in and out, which I think could be quite good. What I probably would do then, because I want these doors to look a little bit more like they're metal. This is also from ASR, by the way. Just makes it a little bit easier to paint because I don't need to actually make the paint myself. So yeah, that will make it look like metal a bit more. Are some of these dividing lines, because what we maybe could do, for example, if we want to maybe stick to these, that could be helpful. I mean, you won't really know where these are, of course. All right, so for some of these side walls, I feel like, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that might be what we're going for. So that's that one line. So this again should be 4 in between all of these. There we go. And I think then for these last ones here, that's going to be 3 because of the way we changed it from the outside. Or actually, we could keep it like that and just have different supports around the front, maybe. Maybe that's what we'll do. But yeah, we'll need to think of some kind of shape that we can basically uphold through all of this. So I think it's probably going to start off like that. And then maybe go into something like this. Not entirely sure. Like, of course, in some parts, the cave will win from the design because it's just not going to fit. Yeah, I think for now, we'll probably say no to doing it at the end of the line. We're probably going to do something different for those walls, but we can at least bring those in place. So we'll have those. That's not going to really work. It might work on this one, though. This one here at the front might be the one that we go for design-wise. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's way too steep all of a sudden. But maybe we could do like quarters. I mean, and then realistically, we would probably just bring it up. Can't even do that there. I think that's probably what we want to go for. Yeah, there we go. So we can kind of fill in part of that. I think that's what we want. Because again, that's kind of going to give us some sections to work with. And I feel like even for the storage room, that's just going to be a nicer way to work. Rather than just having a big open space. Because realistically, as soon as we have these dividing lines in place, I can just kind of decorate this storage hall whatever way I see fit. But then at least it looks like it's being nicely supported and everything. Oh god, some of it's going to be obstructed. I guess we'll just kind of go with the flow in those cases. We'll see if I can figure out some kind of way to still make those pieces work in some way. But at least this side is looking quite nice, especially once we, of course, turn that into the bunker skin. And then we'll have quite a nice hallway, I think, if we keep this all going. Crafting and storage. Of course, yeah, we can't really do much on that side, but that's totally fine. On this side, where the walls or the cave is a little bit higher, it does add a lot to the build. Okay, so that means we'll have a few different sections just as below, but then with different shapes. More shallow shapes, which are quite nice thing to work with. Obviously for this side it's going to be a little bit easier because there's not that much visible from all of this, which is totally fine. There we go. Actually, let's just finish this whole side first, because again, it's not that much work. There we go. Yeah, that fits for me. Then I guess it's time to work on this side. So probably we'll start with filling in these walls again. And create a bunch of the main structure for this. There we go. And we'll just kind of fill in, the walls as we go. Just like that. Yeah, that's a nice bit of support, which gives this room the structure it needs, I think, and the kind of the division to hopefully create something quite organized and sorted, which is definitely what I'm gonna try and do for this base, but it's me. You never know. How did I even place that wall there? Probably from all the extra little snap points I've created with these different structures. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That's starting to look quite nice. So then we'll have this shape, which of course is also kind of going to help us welcome into the room, because this is the first one we'll see. And then, yes, we will fill in the little gaps wherever they are. Oh, there we go. We can still actually fit them in. And we'll just build up wherever we can. Fill in the remaining gaps. And there we go. That's the shapes in place, at least. I guess we could think about adding some kind of supports in the middle. Like, I could see something like this maybe still being wanted for a little bit more structure. Just to kind of see if that works, but it might still add a little bit. Okay, well then we can definitely now close up the floors again, because yeah, we don't need to see those sides underneath. The real question, of course, is whether we'd want at least maybe part of this to be these skins. And maybe we do. Maybe like the middle 3. We actually want to get... There we go. Yeah, I think that's definitely a good option. Not that we need the support or anything, but it's just also more as some kind of room divider again. To break up the middle to be too open. So yeah, I think I quite like that. Having these kind of dividers. And I mean, they do look also like support pillars, of course. Which can't hurt. There we go. Can have all of this skinned in these construction variants. Yeah. So, here on the inside, what could we do to add to this? Oh yeah, then I could also use the skins for light, that's fair. Do I want to have that support there? I think I do. And then we'll do the same thing for this wall. Where does it start? Just above the windows. Oh yeah, that's not much visible on this side. But every little bit counts. I don't think that's gonna snap the right way for me though. So we have those supports, and then the real supports we need, of course, is here off to these sides. I think probably we kind of just want to potentially do something like that, which means we can have big walls going up there. And then we can have 2 walls coming up from here before they stick out like that. Oh man, I hate when that happens. There we go. I feel like that gives a little bit more structure to that entire wall, which means that we'll get these walls over here. Have those right in the middle. And then have these stick out at the front. And then bring them up to the top of the cave. And I guess that's a little bit higher in some cases than in others. Okay. We can change those skins. Same over here. I actually feel like I might want to flip those around texture-wise. For these parts, that makes more sense because they match better with the ramps that way.